Well, that's an interesting song to say the least. I don't know what to make of that. And the title of it is called Moonquake. Moonquake. So I guess it's kind of out of this world. Maybe we're not supposed to totally understand it, because it's one of those things, you know? Well, this unboxing has been waiting for a little bit, in part because of my health situation of being in the hospital and just slowly getting back onto my feet. This particular machine arrived all the way back on June 25th. Is that right? Yep, June 25th. So it's been a number of weeks that it's been sitting there waiting patiently for this unboxing. And this particular machine was sent by Cindy Blong out of the great state of Florida. And this is a machine that she's really looking to get a number of things done to it. And I'm not going to, as usual, I'm not going to tell you the make or model. I will tell you that it's a Singer, if that helps at all. Although one of the times I gave a hint like that, the customer that sent the machine had no idea what they sent, and it totally went south, and they were, I don't know what I have. So I'm hoping it's a Singer. That's what I was told anyway. And this was shipped by FedEx, but I believe it was packed by Cindy, if I remember correctly. It's been a while back. And she did not spare a thing on bubble wrap. You saw all the bubble wrap I took out already, and then she's used a number of spools of this to pack around her machine as well. And you can see, again, she wasn't cutting corners. She was like, I'm going to protect this machine if it's traveling all the way from Florida to Wisconsin. I'm going to make sure that it gets there safe. So hopefully this is paid off, along with, I'm going to try to get my arms around, and this is all filler packing material that Cindy used. I'm even having trouble getting my hands around all of it. But you can see, just as filler material, she probably went through a good sized roll of bubble wrap. So that's a customer that is dead set on that machine arriving to the workshop safely. And we're not done. We got more that we're going to be pulling out that Cindy has kind of packed around this machine. And this one, based on the weight of it, we've got something in there. We're going to have to see what it is. Slowly but surely getting this unwrapped here. Pick another song to put on while we're doing this. Ooh, this sounds like a fun one. This is called Brooks' Triumphal March, and it's by the United States Marine Corps Band. I'm guessing it's probably one of those old ones, so it's going to sound like it's coming through the radio. Everybody's gathered around the radio on a Sunday afternoon, and they're listening to marching music, which is kind of the theme of this premiere. I've got a lot of marching music I'm going to be playing. All right, here we go. You can't help it. I can't help it. Especially as a former military guy, marching music comes on and my feet start moving. Well, it looks like we have a knee controller here. A knee controller that's been around about as long as this music for the United States Marine Corps Band. Obviously, Cindy's machine came out of a table, and this was mounted in the table so that she could activate the machine. And I think we're going to be converting it to a foot control, but I'm not absolutely sure of that. But these are cool the way they work. Let me get close to the camera and you can kind of see. You push on that knee controller and it activates what basically is the inside of a foot controller. And they work perfectly fine, and this was the standard for most machines that were table mounted, is an assembly similar to this. Pretty cool. This particular one is rated a little bit lower than most of the Bakelite ones. The Bakelite ones, as you know, I believe, unless you're real new to the channel, the Bakelite ones that come standard with the majority of the Singer sewing machines, everything from the Slant-O-Matic series machines to the Singer 201, to the Singer 1591, to the Singer 221. they're all usually going to be rated right around 0.7 amps. This particular one, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, is only rated at 0.6 amps. And again, knowing what your foot controller is rated at, particularly if you're acquiring a new machine and you're buying it from someone that probably doesn't have the knowledge factor of the significance of motor ratings and foot controller ratings, you need to kind of check that for yourself. So with this only being rated at 0.6 amps, if that machine has a motor at 0.7 amps, is that good or bad? You're absolutely right, that's bad, because what will have a tendency to happen is this foot controller, or in this case this knee controller assembly, will have a tendency to get hot and overheat, particularly if you're sewing at slower speeds, because that motor is rated basically a tenth of an amp higher than what the knee controller is. We have a motor rated at 0.7 amps. We have a knee controller rated at 0.6 amps. So there's that tenth of an amp difference, and that really can make a difference, believe it or not. Particularly, again, if you're sewing at a much slower rate of speed, because what's going to happen then, if you're sewing at a slower rate of speed, is the electricity coming through this foot controller is going to start to build up, because it's almost like a dam with the water being held back. When you're sewing at a slower rate of speed, the electricity coming into the foot controller is the same, but it's being held back from being released from the foot controller into the motor. And so that electricity being held in reserve will tend to superheat the foot controller. And particularly in an assembly like this, where it's mounted to the table and all you're having contact with is this, you're not going to probably notice that foot controller is starting to superheat. And it could cause problems. It could either fail, in extreme cases, it could get so hot that it could actually catch fire. So always, 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 the rule is make sure that foot controller is rated higher than whatever motor is connected to it. Okay? Always remember that. And that's true of any machine, not just a Singer machine. It could be a Pfaff, it could be a Husqvarna Viking, it could be a Bernina, it could be an Elna, it doesn't matter. You always want to have that foot controller with a higher reserve of amperage than the motor. All right, enough said. I'll set this to the side. Well, that was kind of cool. That was, again, the United States Marine Corps Band playing Brooks' Triumphal March. I wonder who Brooke was, don't you? So this next one is called Patriotic March. Patriotic March, here we go. See what I'm saying? Look at this. Cindy is a serious packer. We're getting down there. Oh, mackerel. You ought to feel the weight of this. I mean, that's a serious roll for filling in the cavity around that machine so it's not moving. And we have something inside too. It's a surprise. I am guessing it's going to be the power cord, but we'll see. Oh, this is the old style connector. set that there real quick. See the way this mounts? It's going to be part of that foot control assembly to the motor, and then these actually can come loose from the mounting point. See that? And then you can plug them in to make that connection. And then this is obviously our power cord assembly that's going to be supplying juice to this mystery machine that we have. You can't tell probably by the premiere, the live feed that you're seeing, but this cord is real rigid. It's dried out, and while it's not exposing wire, it's not visibly cracked, it's definitely going to be needing replacement because this is just a hiccup away from becoming a risk to Cindy when she goes to operate this machine down in Florida. So we'll come up with a new setup so that it's going to be safe, kind of like we just did on that machine that's going to be heading back to Plano, Texas. You remember that one that we just did? It's that 6616 that belongs to Renee, and her wiring had taken several dips beyond where this is, but this is heading that way. Wiring is one of those things that's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and what you can't see or what you don't remember can hurt you. So, well, we've got a lot of United States Marine Corps band pieces here. The last one again was Patriotic March. This one is called North and South. Let's see what that sounds like.
North and South medley, played by the United States Marine Fife and Drum Corps. It is on record.
That was a cool intro. All right, let's see if we can get this out of here. We're down to the bare bones now, but you can see if Cindy had not gone to the effort of filling in around this machine, look at all that empty space, all that cavity space where this machine would have been bouncing around, kind of like we've seen other machines that arrived at the workshop. So Cindy did a real good job of filling that cavity and immobilizing this machine so that it wasn't bouncing around. Let me see if I can lift it out of here. And now we're looking at the bottom, and she did a real good job of padding the bottom too. This is probably an inch thick. Plus we've got this. And then we've got this on the bottom in addition to it. So all together we probably have on the padding on the bottom, you can see it in the camera, probably close to 3 inches of padding. And I've emphasized that in recent premieres. Folks will sometimes neglect the bottom, and you don't want to do that. If this box is being shifted around by FedEx or UPS or whoever the carrier is, they're more likely going to be dropping this as it's making its journey again and again and again, and you want to do something like this to try to safeguard the machine. So, real good job, Cindy, real good job. And this is also, looks like a Home Depot box. I'll tell you one thing, you can't see it in the camera, but this is a hardcore box. So if you happen to have a Home Depot near you and you're wanting to look at buying boxing material, you'll definitely want to check out their supply. This is a box that will definitely stand up to a lot of abuse as it's en route from whether it's Lake Worth, Florida, where this machine was shipped from, Lake Worth, Florida. Bill, where is Lake Worth, Florida? Any idea? Or any of you that know the Florida region, if you want to type into the chat where Lake Worth, W-O-R-T-H, Florida is, and maybe an interesting fact about it, about that particular city in Florida. I'll send you something special if you're the first one to do it and you really do a good job of typing an interesting fact in there about that city. Okay? So there's an impromptu contest for you. If you can type, where is Lake Worth, Florida? And something interesting about that city. Looks like the zip code is 33449, if that helps you in any way. Cool. All right, let me throw this to the side. And we will continue with our marching music once I get Cindy's machine back onto the workbench here. Now, based on that sound, listen again. And I'm only doing this from like a quarter of an inch above the workbench. We'll have to see how it's padded on the bottom. Some real good padding in the box, but you don't want to do good padding in the box and then not pad the bottom of the cocoon machine as well, because that material on the bottom is not anchored in the box and it can have a tendency to shift. And then all of a sudden, if you haven't done a good job of padding the bottom of the machine, you've got the bottom of the machine exposed to the bottom of the box, which is going to be getting all of that impact factor. So make sure you do both. And I'm not implying that Cindy hasn't, but based on the sound and based on what I can feel, it feels like maybe the bottom of the machine wasn't padded quite as well as the bottom of that box. You want to do both, okay? Blah, 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 blah. But better than a machine arriving broken, right? So the last one again was called North and South, as you heard by the narrator kind of introducing the song played by the United States Marine Corps Band. And now we have the Regimental Pride March, also by the United States Marine Corps Band. And I'm just going to scroll down and just see if all of them, yeah, pretty much all of them are played by the United States Marine Corps Band. All right, here we go. Another one, and this one is labeled Bright, so get your dancing shoes on. Or your marching shoes. Yeah, Cindy has padding on the bottom for sure. It just didn't feel as thick and didn't sound like it was padded as well. But we've got four layers on the bottom, which isn't bad. Gotta love that part, huh? The snare drums. Any guesses yet? I know you can't pretty much see much of anything, but I've got some very adventurous guessers where they'll start guessing almost right away, so that's kind of cool. And it looks like I've got this facing the wrong way, so let me turn it around. I love that. Well, being a trumpet player, I love the trumpets too. What's not to love about this song? You almost feel like when you're cutting across the top, like you're giving it a haircut. What would you like, sir? Just a little bit off the top. Just a little bit off the top. Oh, we're getting close, folks. We're getting close. So that one again was called Regimental Pride March. And our next one is called Staunch and True. Staunch and True. Here we go. Oh, I see. It's kind of wrapped underneath. If you're new to the channel, angle your scissors away from the machine as you're taking the layers off. Boom, boom, boom. close, getting real close. That was a fun one, wasn't it? So that one again was called Staunch and True, and our next one is called With, ooh, this ought to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to have some like cannon shots or something. This one is called With Shot and Shell. Here we go. Oh, got some interesting wiring going on over here. Well, you've got a much better view of it now. Any guesses? Any guesses? And if Cindy is a part of this premiere, if she's attending it live, Cindy, you're more than welcome to field the guesses. It's up to you. Otherwise, I'll jump in. Or if Bill is here, Bill, you can jump in. Or Hans, if you're here, you can jump in. Or any of you can jump in. Let's all jump together! See, I'm pretending like I'm directing them, but they're not following me. Yes! Well, I was kind of late a little bit, but not bad. Because that's the first time I've heard that tune too, just like you. So that was with Shot and Shell by the United States Marine Corps Band again. And this next one is called Old Comrades. Old Comrades March. Let's see what this one sounds like. Oh, I think I just heard this played recently, this particular tune. If any of you follow a wonderful musician and conductor by the name of Andre, he's from Holland, and he puts on some amazing YouTube videos of his concerts. They just played this. I know this song. This is awesome. All right, we're down to the bare bones. Get your guesses in. Get your guesses. I'll zoom in on it a little before I take this final layer off. See if it helps at all. All right, here goes the final layer. is in all of its glory. Oh. See, I talked about this in a recent premiere. Someone was saying, hey, I think it was my friend Sonny that said, Scott, if I saw, one of your sewing labels on a machine, I would immediately buy it, which was a wonderful compliment, and I really appreciated it. But those metallic stickers that a lot of the sewing centers use are just downright obnoxious, and they pick the worst places to put them. What's wrong with them? Are they absolutely out of their mind or what? I think they are. Let me get my crazy look. Ah! Why do they do it? Why do they do it? Wait until I show you where they put a label on Cindy's machine. Oh my goodness gravy. It's horrible. So what do you think? You got a real good view of it now. You've got a real good view of this machine. Any guesses? I'll go around it again. You know what? I'll even zoom in on the serial number if that helps you. That's a pretty filigree, isn't it? That decaling. Kind of a floral design. And we're missing a bobbin plate, but that's easy enough for me to replace. It looks like the needle plate may be a newer version. They sell them aftermarket. And this is kind of, you remember the machine that I just recently showed you premiered, the one that belongs to Renee, the 6616. As a matter of fact, it's not even packed up yet. If we, just for kicks and giggles, I'll shoot over to the other workbench. And you'll see that machine sitting over there. So you remember this one had the same cleanliness issues with the presser foot, the needle bar, the presser foot bar and everything. So when I get done with Cindy's, it's going to look like this versus looking currently, where are we? Looking currently like this. Blah! Blah! Cindy, we're taking away your Better Homes and Gardens sticker. We're going to keep it until this machine is right. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. So whatever this make and model is, and I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know if you've already guessed it, or if you've looked up the serial number that I just showed you, but it's got that wonderful drop-in bobbin feature that a lot of the models and submodels within this series had as well. Very desirable. And you can tell by the bobbin winding system, it's going to be an older machine. And we've got some rust mitigation to do, don't we? Kind of like the last machine as well. All the way around that balance wheel. And some of that looks like it might be pitted, so that's going to take a fair amount more work to get through all of that. And even there, that bobbin winding assembly is going to have to come off the machine. We've got rust that's also in there that looks like it's getting pretty deep. And we've got some paint issues obviously as well. I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on the paint, but separation of the layers of the paint, which that usually requires some touch up and some new clear coat as well to kind of protect it and to stop the degradation of that paint, which has already started. And you can see the older style. If we go across here, oh, there's the spool pin. More rust, more rust. We haven't even seen the back of the machine yet. You can kind of see that That little screw that's holding that plate on the rear of the machine is also rusted up as well. But what I was going to show you is we have an older style Singer light. And these are notorious for bad wiring, so we'll have to wait and see what we find there. And kind of like Renee's machine, that is one yucky upper tension, and it's not going to be able to do its job properly in that condition. So we're going to take it from this to something more like that, once my camera focuses. So that's this, what you see now on Renee's machine. Renee's machine looked just as bad on that upper tension as Cindy's does right now. So we're going to make it right. Because the upper tension is such a critical... Oh, hi, Dr. Singer. That upper tension is such a critical... Hey, little cow. Oh, gosh, I'm so distracted. It's such a critical part of the operation of that machine being able to do its job. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick another piece of music. I'm going to come off the tripod, and we're going to get a lot closer to Cindy Blong's Singer machine that was shipped from Florida, and we'll see what we see. And yes, I'm going to put on another march. So if you don't like marches, turn your volume down on your computer. Turn it down. So that one again was the Old Comrades March. And now we're going to do one called Old Berlin. Old Berlin. Here we go. Oh, this is what I was going to show you. Isn't it absolutely hideous? And look at where they stuck it. These knuckleheads at A1 Rivoli, or whatever in heaven's name their name is. That is absolutely unforgivable. They took that ugly metallic sticker and they put it right over this beautiful decaling filigree pattern on the pillar of the machine. Why in heavens to Betsy's name would you do that? What are they thinking? And they were established, what, in 1935? On Hicksville Road in Bethpage. I can only assume Bethpage is probably in Florida. You know, no offense to the people in Bethpage at what does that say? 154 Hicksville Road. But to do something like this, they're either very angry people or they're definitely not the brightest bulb on the chandelier. I mean, how much smarts does it take to look at a beautiful filigree pattern like this or like this and to say, we're not going to put something sticky over the top of that? That makes no sense at all. Is there a phone number? Can I call these people? Because I would like to call them right now and say, what in heavens to Betsy's name are you thinking? You know, maybe you're doing too many rentals and spending too much time on parts and spending too much time maybe not even servicing the machines because you got this much time to put an ugly sticker like that on Cindy's machine. Ah! Ugh. Ugh. Oh, I gotta change the shot. I am just, my blood is boiling. Whatever blood I have anyway. Ugh. Knuckleheads. Somebody wants to look that up and give these people a call and record the call. I'll post it on my YouTube channel. Honest to Pete, I will. So there we've got a beautiful crest. Thank God actually, if they'd put it over that, I could have gotten it off a lot easier. And this, if you're not familiar with this model, this is our stitch length controller right here. You screw it in to get that stitch longer, and then you unscrew it to get that stitch shorter. So clockwise longer, counterclockwise shorter. And that's actually turning really well. For all the rust I'm seeing on this machine, I'm kind of surprised that it's turning that well. And this is our bobbin winding assembly, which, yeah, it's going to need a lot of TLC to get all that rust off of there. And this one, if you're not familiar with it, when you're winding a bobbin, you're basically going to come, let me come out on this shot. You're going to come off the top of this spool pen. You're going to come over to this thread guide right here. You're going to come across the front of the machine. And then you have to go through this little dipsy doodle right here with the thread. And then you come between the goalposts on here with the thread. And then you wrap it a couple times around the bobbin. And then you engage the bobbin winder. And this is actually already engaged. You engage the bobbin winder so that, well, let's forget that. Because this bobbin winding tire has had a real good life. But you engage the bobbin winder to the balance wheel. You saw that kind of come down. It's going to come down basically in between the spacing on the bobbin itself. And then as that thread is being distributed from the top across here to here to here, this little piece right here, once it's not rusted as badly as it is right now, this is going to rotate back and forth like a pendulum to distribute that thread evenly on the bobbin. It's really cool. It's fun to watch too if you've never seen one wind a bobbin before. So, disengaged, engaged, disengaged, engaged. And also, if you already have one of these two little holes are not for ventilation. Hole number 1, hole number 2. These are critical lubrication points for this bobbin winding assembly so that this turns freely, which, yeah, it's not turning at all right now. Deep breath. Barely. I feel like cliffhanger. I'm hanging on and it's not going to work. So once this gets all cleaned up, disassembled, these are critical lubrication points so that this turns freely. So when it's engaged with the balance wheel, it's not going to cause unnecessary drag in winding the bobbin. Because then what it does is it puts extra pressure on this motor that we're eventually going to look at on the rear of the machine. And that's never a good thing. We don't want that motor to work any harder than it has to work. All right, so I'm going to lift this up from a kneeling position nonetheless. And we're going to take a look at the side of Cindy's machine. And you can see the rust theme kind of continues on the clutch here. Yeah, that's pitted pretty good. I can feel it with my finger. And it's kind of locked as well. And that sucker is not turning freely right now at all. Is this our wiring? Yeah, that's our wiring coming off the bottom of Cindy's motor. Yeah, and again, the coating on this wire sometimes can look really horrible, but the wiring on the inside is solid. So I'll have to check this out real carefully and just see what we see, right? But definitely a lot of rust on this machine. I'm not sure where it was stored, but wherever it was stored, it was an environment that had a lot of moisture, a lot of dampness. So now we're looking at the rear of Cindy's machine, and I'm pleased to report that it's not a larger motor. As you can kind of see in this shot, it's going to be rated the same as that knee controller, 0.6 amps. That's not ideal. Ideally, you'd want to have that, again, that foot controller, knee controller rated just a little bit higher. So I'm probably going to talk to Cindy about upgrading that knee controller to a foot controller that's going to be right around 0.7 amps. And that'll make this motor, once the motor is thoroughly serviced and cleaned, it's going to make this motor perform better. It's going to keep that foot controller from overheating as this motor starts to peak out. And it's just going to make the machine run that much smoother and that much better. But this is a real good motor. I've worked on several of these 0.6 amp style motors. Minus the rust, I think we've got a real good potential with this machine. Real good potential. And we're kind of taking a little peek on the inside, and whoops, no we're not. The door is open. The door is closed. Go away. The door is open. Stay open. I want to show the folks something, doggone it. So if I kind of light this with my flashlight, and we can kind of look in there a little bit, you're going to see that rust theme is continuing. That's all rust. Let me just go in like this. Come on, focus, focus, focus. That's all rust there on the pivot that allows you to sew in reverse. And that pitman arm, you can see that bolt on the side is rusted as well. So that'll be a big part of this project, is rust mitigation. Not looking as bad. Over on this side, not quite as bad. Okay, now you can close the door. Actually, that wiring doesn't feel too bad at all coming off of the light. Until we get down to here. Then that coating gets a little bit more scary, doesn't it? But again, coating can be degraded. but the wiring on the inside can still be solid, so we might be able to salvage this, which will save project time and cost to the customer. We'll see what we can do with it. And these are on this style motor. If you have a similar motor, these are lubrication points, not for oil, but for grease. You simply use some sort of a syringe or something and you can inject some grease in there. And what it does is it lubricates that main shaft in the motor so that the motor turns more freely. Here we have one of our wells for the motor brushes here. And this is our other lubrication point on this side. And this is probably even more critical because this particular lubrication point is going to go directly to that pulley that the belt runs off of. So if you have a motor like this, don't neglect using a proper Singer rated grease on these two wells for the motor. Okay? And the rust continues across our light as well. Lots of rust. This got bent a little bit, it looks like. Yeah, that should be bent down just a little bit, otherwise it's not going to light that bed in that needle area. But overall, the decaling is in pretty decent shape. You can kind of see that in this shot. But just a lot of old oil and caramelized varnishing that's deep into the paint. You can kind of see the discoloration there. Some of that can be salvaged, some of it can't. And our presser foot lever. More rust, more rust. You can kind of really see from the side here just how what poor condition that faceplate is in right now. And again, this is the way that Renee's looked on that 6616. So you're looking at kind of the before, and then when I get done with this, I'm going to get back, I'm kneeling down right now. When I get done with it, it's going to go from this to this. A little bit of a difference. A little bit of a difference, yeah. Yeah. A little bit of a difference. All right, let me set this camera down real quick. We're almost done going around the machine. I'm just going to put on one last little song to wrap this up. The last one we did was called Old Berlin. And this next one, I got to play it. It's really intriguing, the title. It's called The Thunderer March. The Thunderer March. Also a little bit of a tongue twister.
The Thunderer March, made by the United States Marine Band for the Columbia Phonograph Company, Washington, D.C.
That guy's got a cool accent, huh? You see the rust on there? See all that chalkiness on there too? That's all got to come off. Oh, even on the side of the bed here through the paint. Yeah, we've got rust even coming through the paint. Yeah, the quality of the audio when they were recording music back then, wow, we've come leaps and bounds, haven't we? It's got such a tinny sound to it. I'm sure the band sounded fabulous in person. The United States Marine Corps Band has always been just a phenomenal musical talent, as are all of the branches of the service bands that they have. So at any rate, this is Cindy Blong's machine from the great state of Florida. I'm going to get back on the tripod. And this is going to be quite a project, kind of like the project of Renee's was with her machine, which if you haven't guessed it by now, it's too late. This is, if you look up the serial number, which is A as in Apple, C as in Cindy, 043612, you're going to find that this is a Model 66. And there were a lot of different Model 66s, so I'm not going to give the subclass just in case you want to jump in at the last second and try to post an answer. But there were just, as we discovered when we were trying to classify Renee's, it becomes quite a task of looking at the features of the machine and trying to attribute it to the proper subclass of the 66 model. But this machine was born back on February 1st, 1928. And there were only 50,000 made. So it's not quite below that threshold, below 50,000. It's right at 50,000. So it's not in that ultra rare class, but nonetheless it is a treasure. And it's going to be even more of a treasure when I get done with it. So Cindy, I really appreciate you sending this machine to me and giving me the opportunity to give it a new lease on life, kind of like we just did for Renee's 6616. This is going to be a great machine to eventually do sew-offs on. It doesn't sit quite level. A lot of the 66s don't, but it's going to be stable enough that we can get some good sew-offs done with it without it being in a table as it was originally, or in a base either. So that'll be a lot of fun when we get to that point. We're not going to be at that point for a while because I've got a number of machines, as Cindy knows, and certainly as Renee knew as well, a number of machines ahead of this machine and certainly others that have recently arrived at the workshop. And I've got more unboxings to do as well. Machines that have patiently been waiting to get in the limelight so that they can get one step closer to the workbench. So this 1928 Model 66 is going to be a lot of fun to try to bring back from the grave. We've had a number of machines recently that have been really 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot out of the grave. And that's exactly the kind of the machine that we like to get at the workshop, that I like to get at the workshop. I talk in plurality. It's only me! Well, and of course, Dr. Singer. And of course, when we're working on the Swedish beauties, His Majesty the King. So this will be a lot of fun to work on, Cindy. And I will try to give you progress reports once we get closer to the workbench with this. So if any of you posted information that I requested, like the impromptu contest about the city name that I gave you and an interesting fact about it, I'll try to look at that chat. If I miss it, let me know that. because the chat will be visible for a while after the premiere. And also, if you guessed the model of the machine correctly before I announced it, basically we have 2 impromptu contests in this premiere where you can win one of these cool coffee theme mugs. And if you're new to this channel or you haven't seen a premiere recently, I basically have 3 mugs, and I've got a limited supply. But this first one in the front basically says, am I in the shot? I can't tell. Isn't that funny? When I'm looking at the screen, it's backwards. But it says, good things come to those who sow. Good things that come to those who sow. And then we've got this other mug, which I think is a hoot. And it says, this mug belongs to a sewing addict. And then on the bottom, warning, conversation liable to include sewing. Duh. And then last but not least, probably my ultimate favorite right now, because it's just funny. And it reads, if I'm holding a seam ripper, now is not a good time. Now is not a good time. So these are the 3 mugs that I have right now. Again, a limited supply. Once they're gone, they're gone. If you happen to guess one of these 2 impromptu contest questions that I did today, either the locality of where the machine came from and kind of an interesting fact about that location, or the machine itself and naming it correctly, particularly if you get to subclass. Yeah, I would say especially if you get to subclass. You got to get to subclass, folks. Then I'll go ahead and send you one of the mug of your choice, whatever's available. So you've gotten a close look at this machine. You should be able to, based on that, look up Class 66 subclasses, and you should be able to name that subclass effectively on this machine. Okay? All right. And we didn't even have Mr. Bean march in this video, did we? In this premiere. Oh well. He's over there just kind of chilling. He's got a little bit of move going on today. I think he's getting his mojo back. Yeah. And Mr. Bean, I just posted a fun video of you at a community pool going to the high board. You remember that? I don't think he wants to remember that one. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm not a big heights person either, but when I was in the Army, and certainly when I was, if you saw that recent premiere where I shared with you that I was a police and fire commissioner and I had to go in that real high extension ladder that comes off of the fire engine, that's not my cup of tea, folks. I don't know if any of you are not real big heights people either, but yeah, you got to kind of build up to that. So, all right, that's the end. That's all we're covering in this premiere. So again, if you're one of the people that think you're the winner, let me know that. And I'll get you one of those mugs of your choice heading towards you. And Cindy, watch for updates on Facebook. I'll eventually get those up, as I did with Renee's machine. And we will see the pilgrimage of near death to absolute victory with your Class 66 really cool 1928 Singer sewing machine. All right, God bless, and remember, you're never old until regrets take the place of your dreams. So hang on to those dreams. Matter of fact, take action on those dreams, whatever the dream might be. And the other one that I love is the greatest prize in life is working hard at work worth doing. That's what I do at the workshop. I'm sure it's what you do in your circle of the world. And I wish you the best. I wish you Godspeed in continuing to do more of that, to claim that prize, to celebrate life, even amid what people are starting to murmur about. This pandemic is not going away. Well, you know what? We're going to continue to live our lives. We're going to continue to celebrate vintage sewing machines, and we're going to have fun on this YouTube channel, which, by the way, I've got to get that next mega giveaway going because we are way over 8,000 subscribers now, which was our next milestone to hit. We're quickly going to be approaching 8,500 subscribers. So I've got to get busy with that and do a premiere talking about that next mega contest, which again is going to be a writing contest because we just have so many incredibly gifted writers that follow this YouTube channel, as you saw in that last giveaway. So watch for that. I gotta find time to do that among all the other things going on at the workshop. And Dr. Singer, you hold me accountable for that, okay? Remind me we got to do our next major giveaway announcement. Let folks know what they have to do and get them busy working on that. So, all right, take care, everybody. I'm signing off. God bless.